see, might just turn around.
Going on, Rhody Rumble. This is episode 10 with the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Pat Murphy. Coach Pat Murphy he's my offensive coordinator at the University of Rhode Island, Massachusetts made man, now in Kingston. Coach, how are you today?
Great. How are you doing? You all set for Christmas?
I'm all set for Christmas.
Have you been a good boy? That's the question. On the naughty list or the nice list?
I think I've been on. I think I'm on the nice list. I have not been
there you go.
This year. So
perfect.
Coach Murph, the first question that we usually like to ask all of the guests that join us. By the way, everybody, Adam Bernstein is not with us tonight. He'll be back for the next episode, though. We're sorry about that to all the viewers. Coach Murph, first question that we like to ask everybody is, what motivates you? When you wake up every morning, what is your passion? What is your drive? What makes you put your feet down on the floor for that day?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a very, very competitive household. I got a younger brother who's a year and a half younger than me, who between you and I and everybody else that's watching this thing is a lot better athlete than I am. So that's part of it. My little sister played 2 sports in college. She played volleyball and basketball. So ultra competitive family, hate losing more than I like winning. And it's really like that in anything. Now I'm a parent. I have 3 daughters, 19, 18, and 15. Basketball, track, soccer year round. They're ultra competitive as well. My wife is a very competitive person. So competition, the fear of losing, the fear of letting people down, those are all things that I think drive me. And it's much easier for me to forget the wins and the positives than it is to forget the losses and the negatives. And that's those things will haunt me forever. Like I have plays that I played when I was in college that will haunt me forever, that I still wake up at 2:00 in the morning and think about a certain play at Boise State. So I mean, it's something that I think is just ingrained in me.
Oh man, you wake up, you're just like, man, like only if I did that a little bit differently, maybe things would
there's no question.
There would have been a different outcome. So Coach, where are you from, and how did you find your way to football, or did football find its way to you?
Yeah, I think I just
Oh, Coach, we lost you. Now I got you back.
Okay.
Start from the beginning.
No, that might be me. So I was born in Lowell, lived there till right around my 8th birthday. My parents built a house in a tiny town right down 495 from Lowell, Air, Massachusetts. Army base, Army town. Very unlike most small towns in New England, in that it's extremely diverse. Was a baseball player first. Initially thought that's was going to be my deal. I remember my mom still gets mad at me because I stopped playing later on when I got to high school. But White Sox came to see me, one year, and then the next year I stopped playing baseball. And what happened during the course of that year was I was playing basketball, sprinting back on a fast break, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. And I wanted to come out of the fast break and absolutely drill the point guard. And I almost did, and I stopped myself, and I wound up getting a foul anyway. And then from that point on, it was all about football because I could do things there and not get in trouble. I was a physical kid. I don't want to say I was a violent kid, but my father had passed away when I was 10 years old. I became the man of the house, and my brother and I were a little rough and tumble guys, Lowell kids transported to this little tiny small town, and I like the physicality of it. I like the violence of it. Like I tell my daughters all the time, basketball is a contact sport. most soccer is a contact sport, football is a collision sport.
Mm-hmm.
And you either like those collisions or you don't. And I was lucky enough that, it allowed me to get an education and what turned, was supposed to be a 1-year job. After I got done playing, only do this for 1 year, turned into a vocation for me. And I owe everything I have now to the game. So, I love it.
So high school ball, you played all 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the progression like? Did you come in hot? Did it take you a while to work your way up? And, where were you at on the field?
So I started playing when I was in Pop Warner, and I was one of the bigger kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was also one of the faster kids. But, like I said, I come from a small town. So I had my first jersey number was 72. And I played offensive tackle and I played defensive tackle. And, but, when we played with just our friends, like around the yard, we played pickup football. I played running back and linebacker. And it was like a year or two after I started playing Pop Warner, all my buddies started hounding the coach, just let him do this, let him do this. And fine, okay, we did a jamboree. They put me at linebacker. They gave me 34 as a jersey number and let me play linebacker and running back in that game. And I never went back.
That's all it happened.
Yeah.
So high school comes around, you
Yes.
stop playing baseball, you get to your senior year, and what does the recruiting trail really look like for you? Were you a guy that a lot of teams came to look at?
No.
Under the radar kind of player?
Yeah, no, it really wasn't. Air, very tiny town. Not, we never really saw college coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Springfield, Colby, trying to think who else. A bunch of D3 schools.
Uh-huh.
Offered me spots to go to the team, and, obviously no scholarships, anything like that. And my head coach, suggested Bridgeton Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I'm like, what's that? And didn't know anything about it. I'm clueless. Went to Bridgeton Academy. It's the only 1 year strictly postgraduate prep school in the country. It's in North Bridgeton, Maine. So my head coach took me on a recruiting visit there.
Oh, coach, we lied to you again.
You got me?
Now you're back.
Okay. It's not my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is all set.
My Wi-Fi is all set. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Okay. It's Zoom. So, my high school coach took me on a recruiting trip up there. My high school coach had played at Northeastern himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there and I had a Northeastern shirt on, and a guy named Rick Marcella, who is the head coach there still, took me around, showed me the place. I went up there, played there, captain there, and really got exposed to real college football. So BA plays a college schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So they, my year there, we played some D3s with Norwich, Plymouth State, those types of guys. We played Central Connecticut. We played Holy Cross. So we played Rhode Island. I was, a game captain for the Rhode Island game. So it was unique being able to see all these different levels of football.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just having the conversation saying, with the coaches there that, you can go to Division III, be an All-American, go to Division II, be all league and no problem. Go to Division I and at 1AA and be a good solid player there. And, where you end up is anyone's guess. Or you could go to FBS and be a walk-on and be maybe play your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to play at the highest level. I also wanted to get out of a small town environment. and went to Northeastern University and played for Barry Gallup, who's the assistant AD at Boston College. Had some great coaches there. Had a unique experience in that I had a different position coach and played a different position every semester after my freshman year. So after my freshman year, my sophomore year, what they call it Northeastern, your middler year, because it's a 5-year school. My sophomore year, my middle year, my junior year, my senior year, I had a different position coach and played a different position, for the team. And what I tell people is I was, it was kind of like being in a leaky boat and you need a piece of chewing gum to plug the leak. I was the chewing gum that could plug a leak until they could recruit someone better. I was a tough kid, relatively football smart, who could do enough things well, block, catch, run, that I would be a stopgap. So, I played tight end, believe it or not, in the CAA. Started games at tight end. Actually, my first touchdown was at tight end. Played running back, played fullback, played linebacker, took snaps at center, took snaps at defensive line, and linebacker, like I mentioned. So I played a bunch of different things.
You might be one of the only college football players in the past 30 years to ever play offensive line and running back and tight end and
chewing gum.
You're chewing gum.
So like I said, it's we had some great coaches. Joe Gilbert was my first line coach there. He's the line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had Mosey Tupu. Did I lose you again?
No, you're here. I'm listening to you. I'm just taking it all in.
Mosey Tupu, who obviously is in the Patriots Hall of Fame. Jimmy Turner, who is the O-line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. Doug Marrone, who's the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Joe Philbin, who was the head coach for the Miami Dolphins.
You had a loaded staff.
Yeah, a guy named Bob Shoop, who's been a defense coordinator at Power 5 conferences for years now. So I was exposed to a lot of really good coaches, a lot of different styles. Didn't do wonders for my playing career because I had all these different guys with all this different stuff, and I was learning something new every semester. But it really helped me as a coach take it all in and soak it all up. And, there were things I definitely took with me. Like Jimmy Turner has been a mentor of mine. Just his style, and, he's a typical hard-nosed Irish, guy, from Boston. And he was a walk-on at Boston College who earned a scholarship during the Flutie years. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm. And what do you say is your most memorable moment at Northeastern? Because I feel that, being a player for you, you're a guy that brings his 110 every single day. I have never seen you, whether it's conditioning, weights, anything, you have not came in without that 110% behind you. So is there a certain moment that happened when you were in college that really attests to your coaching career now?
I don't know about a single moment. I think one of the more memorable moments was traveling to JMU. Mm-hmm. They win. They're in the playoffs. We win. We still get to go home for the rest of the year. It was the last game of the year. And we went down there and beat James Madison. Mm-hmm. At James Madison in overtime. Buddy of mine, Jason Seeker, had the interception in overtime. I can tell you, the entire game. Uh-huh. So that would be one. Or first game I ever played in college was the opening game of my redshirt freshman year, playing the defending national champion Youngstown State Penguins. So they had won the national championship the year before. Mm-hmm. Under I'm drawing a blank on his name. Was the Ohio State coach.
Tim Tressel. Yeah,
Coach Tressel. And they beat us like like my redshirt year, they beat us at Youngstown like 59-0. I was listening to it on the radio, and it was like big time whooping.
Oh.
And they came to us the next year, and we beat them at Parsons Field at home. So those two are I think the two huge wins and two huge moments that stand out.
So now walk me through. You graduated from North. What'd you study? Okay, academics. I know this for a fact because you preach it. And so, what was the biggest? Or what was academics for you? What did you study, and what did you take away from the college academic lifestyle?
Yeah, I started off as a poli-sci major because I was going to go to law school. I did that for a semester, and I was bored out of my mind. and I'm not the most, I'm not the most, political person in the world. You always know where you stand with me.
Yes.
So I don't hide it well. So I switched from majoring in poli-sci to minoring in poli-sci, majoring in criminal justice.
Okay.
After the first semester. And, I enjoy reading. I enjoy, debates. So having both of those, I think was pretty good. So, I mean, school to me at NU was relatively easy because of the classes I was taking. And
Coach, I think you're muted. Coach, I think you're muted on your thing.
Or oral, presentations. But, I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did the CJ stuff.
So graduate from NU, and now you enter the coaching world. So,
yeah.
So what was so you're graduating from college, you're going through the last part of your senior year, what are you thinking is your next step?
Yeah. So I was filling out, applications and taking the, am I taking the LSATs, all that stuff. And this, high school coach that I competed against when I was in high school, had just gotten a Division II head coaching job at UMass Lowell. So where this, the town I was born in, I have a lot of family from the Lowell area. I know Lowell very well. I know this guy very well. He coached me in an all-star game. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll do this. I talked to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. What do you think about me doing this? She's like, oh, yeah, you love the game. Yeah, why not? You don't have to rush into anything. Which I remind her of that conversation all the time now. And so I interview. I'm getting ready to go down and I was clueless. I was going down. I'm thinking I'm just going to meet this guy. He was like, why don't you meet me on this time, this day? So I go meet him, and I'm in shorts and Vans and a T-shirt because me, my best friend, my girlfriend, his girlfriend are driving down to DC for Memorial Day weekend. And, he looks at me when I walk in and like, are you kidding me? Because he thought it was an interview. I thought I was just saying hello. Long story short, I get on the board. He starts interviewing me. I rip through it. He's like, okay, I'll let you know Sunday. Great. So I go down to DC and we have fun, and I get a phone call Sunday night. Hey, you're the new secondary coach and special teams coordinator at UMass Lowell. Now, I played the majority of my time on offense. I felt comfortable coaching defensive front, linebackers or D-line, no problem. The secondary was completely alien to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? So anyway, I just did a crash course. I went to go see the guy I mentioned, Bob Shoup, who at that time, I believe was the secondary coach at Boston College. He was our secondary coach at NU when I was there. I went and spent time with a guy, Chris Magadance, who was the defense coordinator at NU at that time. A guy named Scott Lakatos, who at the time was at UMaine, who's now at Bryant. And just cobbled together, okay, this is what I need to survive being a D2 secondary coach. And then took all the special team stuff that we had and used at NU and just applied it there. 2 years later, the end of that year, because I was only supposed to do it for a year, my girlfriend at the time and her best friend come to our spring game. And I don't know if she had a few too many glasses of wine or what, but after the spring game, she said, forget law school. This is what you should do. I've never seen you so happy.
Coach, I think you're on. I think you're on mute.
I didn't want to go take the LSATs. I didn't want to go do those things. And 26 years later, I'm still here. So, I remind her of it every time she complains about the hours or anything like that. Hey, you could be married to an attorney. That's her fault. I blame it on her.
So you coach at UMass Lowell. I know you ripped through a couple different spots, but I really want to jump to you become a head coach.
Yeah.
In Ainsley's. Talk about that experience and how you really developed a program at the Division II level.
Yeah, well, everywhere along your path you take in it's no different here. So just since in the 11 months I've been here, I've taken some things from Coach Fleming that I think he does a great job of. So, getting to St. A's after being a head high school coach for 4 years prior, was unique because we were taking over a program that was the worst program in the country. They were 0-38. The infrastructure around the program was not like anything else in the league. They were the only non-scholarship school in that league. They were only school that did not have more than one full-time assistant. The budget was completely out of whack. After I took the job, I found out that not only was the budget low, they owed over $50,000 to vendors that we needed, Rydell being, equipment companies that, what do you mean we owe them $50,000? Oh, so there was some hidden things there, but it was an opportunity to get back into college. It was an opportunity to be a head coach at the college level. So, it was great. And, you learn a lot on a yearly basis. I learned a lot about asking questions from the administration, getting things in writing, those types of things. My 8 years at St. A's matured me, 10 times, that number in a good way. Taught me a lot. I lost you again.
No, you're good. I got you.
Okay. Taught me a lot, both from relationships with the players, how to manage alumni, how to manage administration. Because ultimately, the game and winning, all right, is about people. It's about the players. It's about the coaches, and it's about the administration. You look at successful programs, regardless of sport, regardless of level, it's those things are true. It has nothing to do with the football offices. It has nothing to do with the AD's office. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It's, are they aligned? Is there a clear, concise goals? And is everyone pulling together to achieve those goals? And, right away, every step of, along that ladder, who is and who is not. That was you. That wasn't me, by the way.
Yep, I know. I gotta go real quick.
So you know right away who's in line with where we're trying to take this thing, right?
Mhm.
So when I got to St. A's, there was a lot of, oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do it. Why not? Well, why not? Well, we just never done it before. Okay, great. We get to be the first ones.
There's a first
awesome.
for everything. There's
Awesome.
a first for everything.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's kind of, my approach to things here.
Mhm.
All right, great. Let's attack it. We get to be the first ones to do that. Awesome.
So is this where really, you start to take the next step into, all right, now I'm here. I'm the head coach at the Division II level. Now I'm ready to go and take the Division I level over. How did you work?
No, I worked at Bryant before. I worked at Harvard before.
Mhm.
And the thing is, up until that point, I coached all of my college ball on the defensive side. Starting at UMass Lowell. 2 years later, I was a defensive coordinator at 26, 27 years old at the Division II level. From there, Harvard, I coached defense at Harvard. Bryant, I coached defense at Bryant. So it's like the great thing about it with all those things, like I always knew I could do that at whatever level you put me, I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not cockiness. It's just I've coached with those guys. Like every summer, I would go from Boston College camp for 3 weeks
mm-hmm.
to Holy Cross to Harvard to Brown to whatever. I would just do the camp circuit, and I would coach with guys that were there or have been there, and
mm-hmm. So what would you say the biggest difference is, between coaching at the Division II level and the Division I level?
It's easier.
Easier.
And this is going to sound counterintuitive to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. I think it's easier as you go up. You have more support staff. You have a bigger budget. Now everything's relative. Mm-hmm. So how are those things in relation to your opponents? Because that's really what it's about. But as far as going up the rung, I think as far as the coaching part, that becomes easier. Now, the recruiting becomes more intensive. It becomes year round. Though, there are certain things that get ratcheted up. Mm-hmm. Your interactions with alums. I think all of those things, the media, all of those things, increase as you go up. Mm-hmm. And so your plate gets bigger, but you have more support, in a lot of areas.
Okay. And, you go from St. A's, then you go from St. A's right to Holy Cross. That's correct.
No, I was at Tufts for 2 seasons.
Okay.
And I loved coaching at Tufts. Tufts, Jay Savetti, the head coach there, is a good friend of mine. Talked me into going there, and was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Both coaching the players, the coaching staff, working for Jay. It's a kind of a really cool league. The NESCAC hates the analogy of the Little Ivy League, but in a lot of ways, it's very, very similar. So you're coaching really good kids who are good people who are, a lot of those guys could be playing at Boston College, in that league. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are some guys. And, it's better football than people think. And it's the pomp and circumstance, around those schools is really cool. Because they get huge turnouts. Like I was shocked at game day in that league, how nuts it was. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, I would not anticipate that.
Dude, I was walking out to one of the first might have been the first home game at Tufts, and this dude must have been 75. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on podcast air, but this 75-year-old guy is doing a keg stand, and his wife couldn't stop laughing. It was awesome. It was awesome.
So there's a lot of support and a lot of pride at those schools. I mean, growing up, I mean, we both grew up in New England, but when I was going through high school and seeing these different college coaches, I mean, every time I told another college coach that, I remember that Colby came in and Hamilton and a couple other those schools. They were like, oh, those are the little Ivies. Those are the little Ivies.
Yep.
And I was like, are they little Ivies just because they're a smaller school?
That's it. Yeah.
So there's really no difference. You know what I mean?
No, academically, every year you see Amherst, Williams, Wesleyan right there with Harvard. Who's top? Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or one of those guys.
Yep. They're all right up next to each other. So that's so interesting too, from the football standpoint, that you get very quality players and quality game every week.
And you're recruiting nationally. That's the other great thing about schools like that. You're recruiting nationally. So and then from there, I was hired at Georgetown as the OC there. I was there only 2 months. My family had stayed in the Central Mass where we grew up because my oldest daughter is autistic, so she's on the spectrum. When I took the job down there, it was a 2-year wait for her to get into a similar school to what she has now. So I was commuting to DC. And 2 months later,
was it train? What was it?
No, it would drive. Like, I was lucky. I had an apartment down there from my best friend from college. Had an in-law apartment. I stayed for free. So his family loved it because Uncle Pat came to visit, and my 2 nieces and nephew. It was like an extended break because Uncle Pat's there. Well, it's fun because that's I get to be the fun uncle with them. And I would just drive back. So I would come back, every other week or whatever for the weekend and do that. And then I got a phone call from Bob Chesney, who we knew each other from competing in the NE10 when he was the head coach of Assumption. He's a defensive guy. I'm an offensive guy. And we would have some battles, back in the NE10, and he always enjoyed what we did and went there. We took over a offense that had finished middle of the pack at best in just about everything. We were either first or second in everything the first year. Our kids met me. This is still crazy. 30 minutes before the first spring practice, our kids met me for the first time. So, they met me, and you've been in meetings with me. I have a tendency, I get excited about the game. I get going, I get juiced up, and I start talking 100 miles an hour. And we put in veer, we put in power, we put in speed option, and we put in some pass game in a 30-minute meeting. Everybody's heads were spinning. And we went out there for the next 2 weeks and kicked the crap out of the defense, who had been practicing essentially since January. When he was hired. So, it was a lot of fun. The following year, in 2019, we won the first league title in 10 years there, went to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. And we finished, in league play, we finished first in points scored, finished first in total offense, first in rushing, first in pass efficiency, first in yards per attempt, first in yards per completion, so on and so on and so on, with a team that the bulk of which was coming back. So we were graduating the running back, we were graduating a tight end, graduating the right tackle, and left guard. Now the left guard also rotated, so we had 2 guys playing there, as did the right tackle rotated. So we essentially lost 2 guys. We lost the running back and the tight end, and everybody else was coming back. When I got a call from Coach Fleming about, do I have an interest? I jumped all over it, and he and I met at an establishment in Smithfield. had an initial talk. The week after our playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
And the following, he called me up later on that weekend. Hey, can you come in this week and meet the offensive staff? So went down and basically interviewed with him and the rest of the offensive staff, and brought my wife with me. And while I was doing that, Christina Ball took my wife, who was my girlfriend all those times, for a tour of North Kingston, Narragansett. And then Coach Fleming sealed the deal by sending us to lunch at the Coast Guard House.
Oh man, you were living large. The first visit.
That's it. So that's how we wound up here.
So did you know Coach Flem, prior to him calling you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Coach, I think are you on mute? Oh, no, I lost you. All right,
How about now?
Now you're back.
Good?
Yep.
Yeah. So when I left St. A's, he and I had 2 or 3 conversations about me coaching down there, but he just didn't have a spot. And there's a couple alums that had seen St. Anselm play, and had seen the growth there, particularly offensively. One guy lives right next door to the field. So I got to know him a little bit during my time at St. A's. I just looked over one day and this tall guy standing there. I'm like, can I help you? And we struck up a conversation and we hit it off. And he's like, what are you doing? That all of a sudden they're scoring points, and kind of talk them through what we do. And but Coach Flem and I didn't really know each other. Like I said, other than those conversations, and then having Coach Flanagan on staff, obviously he knows me extremely well.
Yep.
The rest is history.
Rest is history. So you get to Rhode Island, and I'm a Rhode Island guy. Like, I am pure Rhode Island.
Yeah. You're the governor.
I am the second lieutenant governor. Okay. First. How has been your experience so far in Rhode Island? What do you think about, the steps so far that we've taken as a program? Obviously not playing this fall, something that, hurt everybody, I think, in college football, that didn't get the chance to play football.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like, and that's the honest truth. I mean, you guys have been great. The players been awesome, both as doing what we're asking you to do. I think it was a little bit of a culture shock when I first got here.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm sensitive to the fact that I'm not the ease into things type of guy.
I remember the first time that you came into that meeting, and you were 1,000 miles per hour ahead, and I think we were all just back in our seats, and we were like, oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, it. Like I said, I think what you get from me is real. I love the game. And I think this sounds weird when I say it, but the game knows. The game knows when you're not doing what you need to do. Mm-hmm. The game knows when you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the game. And I'm a firm believer in that. Like, it knows. And it may not get you that week, but it's going to get you. Like, if you're skipping the steps, or if you're trying to cheat, and cheat that corner instead of rounding the corner all the way, it knows. But to me, like I said, I love Rhode Island, love the area. It's the school itself's been great. My middle daughter's a freshman here. She loves it. Her and her roommates are getting off-campus housing down in Narragansett for next year. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I hope to be here for a long time. It's a great spot. So I mean, I think what we've done and being able to manage what we've had to manage with this whole pandemic, we've done the installation 10 times. Mm-hmm. And I think consequently, when we got to actually practice this fall, I felt, and I told Coach Fleming this, I think we're light years ahead of our first year at Holy Cross at the same time. As far as understanding the offense, knowing the offense, I think we've improved dramatically in areas since I got here. I think
Are you muted again, Coach? I think you're on mute. Are you on mute? No? Man, what is it? Hold on, I'm not getting any audio through.
come on.
There you go. Now you're there.
Okay.
Are you? I keep on thinking you're on mute. You just don't know.
No, I'm good.
All right.
No, I understand. I see the red button. It's not red. So I don't know why it's doing that. But like I said, I mean, I think you guys, the offensive line, have embraced the whole thing, and it's different, right? In a lot of ways, because the ability to read all these different people. We want to be physical. We want to run the ball. We want to play physical in a physical manner, regardless of what position it is. But we want you guys to go get out in space and beat up little kids. Is really what we want you guys to do, right? And then from it, we want the big kids on defense to have to cover our little kids, and this is kind of like how we format things. And I think everyone initially was like, what the hell is this?
Exactly.
And now is really starting to understand how everything fits together.
So when you started off, really getting into offense, becoming a coordinator, were you always a spread guy? When you were at St. Anselm's, were you always a spread guy, or were you ever, run the ball under center, I formation, double, whatever it was, or were you always spread out and really like to get everybody involved?
I grew up in an option offense. So we ran the Syracuse freeze option when I was in high school, right?
Okay.
That's what we played. And then when I first went to high school, I coached, like I said, the 5 years at Lowell. I coached at Bryant. And then my first foray into high school, I worked at my old high school for my old high school coach. And I told him, he wanted me to run the defense. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And he said, why not? I said, because I will lose my mind. Because my expectations for those kids on defense is going to be what they were when I was at the college level. And I'm going to ask them to do things, and I just don't think it's fair. I said, let me coach offense. It'll be fun. So when I went over there, they were an I offense. Coach had been running the same offense forever. So I took that, and then I added all the things that gave me issues when I was a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
So it was majority of that stuff was all spread stuff.
Basically,
so that was my first foray. That was 2001 when I started doing that. So we were running, veer, we were running, triple out the back. We were running, base stuff. And I did that for 2001, 2002. And it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it. Nobody had ever seen it. We were running no huddle just because I didn't have, we were a no huddle defense. No defense in the world huddles. They all just signal stuff in. So I just applied it to what we were doing on offense because it's what I knew from a defense coordinator perspective. And then it just grew from there in from 2001 to now. So 20 years of it. And then the following year, I did the 1 year at Harvard on defense. And then that was fun because they were a no huddle, slow no huddle, 12 personnel spread team. So I took some of that stuff.
You just put it all together.
Could add, like we do here, add to it and subtract from it. But all of that core belief system came from 1996 to 2000 when I was on the defensive side of the ball at UMass Lowell.
So it's all just kind of, came together. There've been so many additions, subtractions. Is there a master book? Is there a master playbook that you have locked away somewhere?
Honestly, we have one. We do have one. But honestly, that didn't come about until I got to Holy Cross. Because Bob Chesney, good dude. He wanted one because, he's a defensive guy and everything has to be like this. Where is it in the playbook? My playbook was always PowerPoints of the play, some description, similar to what you would have now, and then the video.
That's it.
So it's more like kind of like what we're setting up on DV Sport for you guys now.
Yep.
Where it's a digital playbook. But like for me, I always, and this is my belief, and this is why I kind of did the happy medium with the DV Sport here.
Yep.
At URI. Is I want you guys to have a notebook.
Yes.
And when we're going through the play, everyone learns differently. Everyone, has a different approach to it. So I don't want to just hand you a playbook and say, hey, to learn this. Because I love the game. And I remember being in Northeastern, I would get the playbook on day one of camp. There was no practice that day. There was no practice the next day. It was testing the next day. So I would get the playbook on day one. I would read through it. I would, do testing the next morning. I'd read through it on day two, and then I would throw it underneath the bed, and I never look at it again because I knew it. And like, to me, when you're writing notes out on your own, you're putting it in a way that you can recall it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that to me is why, like, I had never used the playbook, but I can also see the reasons why they're good. So we'll use one moving forward. But yeah, we do have a master playbook. Coach Loftus is in charge of all things Vizio.
Coach Loftus
at URI.
One day I saw him. I was working on the back of the trash truck. For every day almost, and I saw him walking out of Applebee's.
That's his go-to. He goes there and gets the 2 for $20 meals. So he gets the 2 for $20, and he gets 2 meals out of it and takes one home.
That was like my high school. When I was in high school, like after games and stuff, we would go there and just mob it. 2 for $20s, all you could get. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And smack down some food.
That's his go-to though.
So, there's the on the field, for football, but I feel like sometimes it's a little bit more important is behind the scenes, and that's the recruiting trail. And what is your favorite part about recruiting? First off, what is it whenever it comes down? The season ends and it's time to get the guys for this year. You know what I mean? This upcoming signing class. What is your favorite part?
Well, again, ultimately the favorite part is having that kid say, "Yeah, I'm coming." Because then, to me, it's just another form of competition. You want to win. Like when if you lose a kid, like if I lose a kid, I want to, I'm not a good loser. I throw things and not happy. Like I don't, like some guys I know will cuss out the kid. Like I never do that because you never know when he's going to change his mind.
Exactly.
Like I never do that. I don't understand people who do that. Ultimately, that's my favorite part. Is getting someone that you think can really better the program, that can be a positive on campus, that that you're gonna enjoy coaching, and then obviously beating guys that are in your league at it. And then the other part, like I love traveling, so like I love going to an area and I always explore at night and go get some. Like I'm a big foodie too. Like I like to cook. And
I like know about your love for food.
So like I always find like these little tiny little hole in the wall places and I enjoy that. And I like going places that I've never been, even if it's just some little random town that might have a great coffee shop and go in and grab a $2 coffee and it'd be awesome.
So do you have a really good recruiting story? You know what I mean? Bizarre, anything crazy? Whatever it was, like something.
That's you springing that one on me. I'd have to think about that a while. Nothing crazy, I don't think.
So all right, and you've been doing this for a long time now. 24 years. You say 1996. How has it changed? How has recruiting changed?
It's all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, social media. It's made it easier in a lot of ways and harder in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's not just for. That's just not for the coaches. It's for the student athletes too. I honestly believe a lot of young kids get caught up in the D1 or bust, FBS or bust, the whole comparison thing. I don't know if people truly understand how tough it is to play collegiate athletics at any level. You playing sports in the NESCAC and going to school there, dude. You're a butt kicker. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You playing at Mass Maritime and handling the workload you have there off the field, and then playing in a pretty good conference at that level. That's a lot on your plate, dude. And I think some kids overshoot because of what it looked like in Twitter, which is crazy to me. So I mean, I think that's a major negative. I think the ease of contact, connection, be able to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, I get contacted from everywhere.
Exactly. I remember. Oh, are you there? I remember when I think we had a quick Twitter exchange. It was about food, and then I remember the next day I looked at my phone and there were about 5 different tags of kids that sent you film.
Yeah.
What is this?
It has nothing to do with it. They're just seeing me that I'm on Twitter, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's great. Those guys are hungry. They're it's just they may not be the right fit. And the other thing is you don't have the time to go through every single person that sends you something on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Another big question that I have for you is, now that film is so digitalized, is there still something about going to watch the kid play? Is that still something that's relevant?
I think for certain it is seeing someone in person, because you on film, you can only see what the film's capturing.
Exactly.
What is the demeanor, especially for me with quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing, 2 things. What do they do after a negative? So what are they doing after a sack? How do they handle themselves? How do they handle themselves after they turn the ball over? How do they handle themselves after the running back fumbles? How do they, from a quarterback's perspective, those things, what you learn there is invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
How is his sideline demeanor? What's he doing when the coach is going over the offense? Is he looking in the stands for mama, or is he locked in and making sure everyone else is locked in?
Mm-hmm.
So those types of things, I think, definitely are huge. I know the last couple of years at the Cross, when we had a bye week, we would all try to get out. And I think just seeing people live and play games, it might be 2-3 games in a night, but being able to get there, them see you, you see them, the parents see you, and then how are they handling that? Because there is pressure with them knowing you're there.
Exactly. That's big.
But I think it definitely has value.
And as we move past that, what are the final, so say it's a very big recruiting, battle. What are those final hours like before a recruit will make his decision? What is the interaction, between, you as a coach to that player, and then that player's conversation to a different coach at a different school?
That's almost, I can't answer that. I don't. That's a loaded question. You're easier to answer that than me.
That is true. That is
You
very
know,
true. That is
you know, that'd be easier for you. I think for me, it's, you know, we're going to present who we are.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're going to do everything in the best possible light. You know, and just be strictly honest and blunt with them. Like I tell kids, one of the last things I always tell kids, and I tell their parents, is if he doesn't want to be the best version of himself in the classroom,
Mhm.
if he doesn't want to be the best version of himself on and around campus, and if he doesn't want to be the best version of himself as a football player, don't send him to me.
Mhm.
Don't send him here. You know, because we're going to push him to be the best versions of himself in all three of those areas every single day.
Mhm.
You know,
And that's kind of that, you know, as a player for you, and for our coaching staff, like, you know, I always, you know, love when I see, you know, especially you know, when we end practice at the end of the day and you call up a player and you're like, how was it today? And kids tell you exactly how it is, and you're completely honest right back to us. You know, there's never a cookie cut, you know, there's never a sugar coat. You know, it's exactly how it was that day. And you know, once that day's over, you know, we're on to the next one.
that's it. I mean, and that's all you should want as a player, in my opinion. And that's something. Jimmy Turner, I mentioned him earlier. Jim Turner.
Mhm.
We had some real honest conversations, you know, when he coached me, and I love the guy because of it. You know, there's no BS, there's no nothing, you know, there's no sugarcoating anything. This is how it is. This is what it is. This is what you got to do. Awesome. That's what you want, and that's something that I've always tried to do, and I think I've been relatively successful with the guys I've coached over the last 25 years, and the thing for me, I have 4,000 names in my phone, whatever it is. 3/4 of them are guys that played for me, and we got one on staff here, and I probably, I might be here without Coach Flanagan being here, but I might not be.
Mhm.
And it's something that's the other, like I said earlier, you win with people. And when you're recruiting great people and you're recruiting, and coaching with great people, then you always have this database of guys that you can lean on and talk to and bounce things off of, and it's fun. It's I love it. Part of the hard part of the pandemic, and I'm sure you guys feel it as well, was when we were away for so long. That camaraderie. You're not in the locker room. We're not in the office. We're not in the weight room. We're not. And it's like, what is going on? It's not right.
You need that interaction, your everyday interaction.
So this is the first fall in 41 years for me that I didn't have a football game. And it's like, what is going on? And like my wife this morning, she was like, I cannot wait for you to go back to work full time, and be in the office again full time. So I'm like, yeah, me too. I love her. We love each other, but what is going
on? And how about off the field? When football's on the back burner, what are your prides? What are your joys? What do you like to do? To get away from the game.
Yeah. Well, Coach Loftus will tell you it's me sending him plays to draw up on Vizio, but it's like I said, my girls are all athletes, so I love going to their games when we're able to. Love watching them compete. They are ferocious young ladies, and that's a compliment. They are ferocious, and the little one maybe the most ferocious of all. So one of my favorite things is when someone makes the mistake of talking trash to her. It's over. It's over. So that's a big part of it. Like I said, I love cooking, love going out to eat, and I love. I have a Harley. I love riding the bike. Yep. So I love getting on that thing. It's in winter storage, having some work done on it, some upgrades put into a new sound system, new stage 2 kit, and I'm looking forward to the spring to get that out and down to Rhode Island as well. But I mean, other than that, I mean, there's not a lot I do. I have the family and I have football. And the only other side thing is with the bike. And, half the time the wife is on the back seat. So,
Yep, there it is. And family is a big part of football too. And I feel like
no question.
It correlates 100%. So, well, Coach Murph, it was an honor to have you on here. I've been waiting to pick your brain for, a very long time now. I mean, I love, sometimes you yell at me and I'm like, oh my God, this dude's fucking scary. But, but I find you, very fascinating coach and you do things a certain way and it's your way. And I've never seen anybody else do it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's served me well. And like I said, don't worry when I yell, worry when I stop.
Exactly.
And that's the big thing.
That is 100%.
All right.
Hey, well, Coach Murph, thank you so much. Go Rams. I can't wait till we're back, think we got another week, 2 weeks.
That's it. 2 weeks and we're right back at it.
Hey, that's exactly what we love. So Coach Pat Murphy, everybody. Thank you, Coach, for being on here and catch you soon.
All right, Mayor. I appreciate it, Mo. Thanks, buddy.
Right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Yeah, well, this mad world made me crazy. Might just turn around to 180.